tall, he's got dark hair, he has a lip piercing and tattoos. I'm obsessed with him. The feminine rage it's giving, very like Stevie Nicks witchy vibe. Hello bookish besties, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be starting how much can I read in a week, because I want to try to push myself. I have been in a slump all year long and I want to try to push myself to see how much I can read this week. I'm starting this on a Tuesday night. We're gonna go until Saturday and then we're gonna sum up my totals. I am currently in the middle of 2 different books and I think I'm kind of in like my witchy / gothic era right now. So I am reading Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix, and to sum this up, this is basically about 4 pregnant girls in a home for unwed mothers, and since society is just lying to them and pushing them down and they can't catch a break, they decide to become witches, and I am totally in love with this. It's giving 70s Stevie Nicks vibes with like naturalistic witches, and I'm completely obsessed. I started it on audio and then bought it physically, and I decided to start it like over again so I could really soak it up, and I'm currently on page 161. So I'm about caught up to where I was in the audiobook, and so now I'm going to start reading some new stuff and I'm very excited. But I love that it says there's power in a book, and it's just about these girls learning to take power from the world because nobody's going to give it to them, and I'm obsessed. We love feminine rage in literally anything. And then I'm also in the middle of Enchantra. I think I'm about 130-ish pages through that one. I'm on page 124 and I'm reading that one on my Kindle. That is the sequel to Phantasma by Kaylee Smith, and I'm enjoying that one so much so far. I didn't think I was gonna like Genevieve, but I'm really enjoying her character, and I really like the circumstances of Enchantra. So she basically tries to go see her mom's family friend that her mom like has a photograph with, and she just wants to know more about the paranormal world and like more about kids that grew up like her. So she goes to Enchantra and she winds up stumbling upon these games that the siblings are playing, and they basically play like a hide and seek, try to murder each other every year kind of game that's run by a devil. And she has to get fake married to one of the brothers in order to like be a part of this game. So it's so good so far. I love the main male character is Rowington or Rowan, and I love him. He's a shadow guy, he's tall, he's got dark hair, he has a lip piercing and tattoos. I'm obsessed with him. Genevieve's character is great. She takes no shit from anybody, and I'm just obsessed with her banter and her snark. It's so good. So I'm excited to see their relationship progress, and I am not yet into the games, so I'm very excited to see how that goes. I want to know if it's going to be like action-packed or if it's going to be a little more corny. I'm not sure, but so far I'd say this one's giving like definitely a solid 4-star vibes, and I think the same with Enchantra. And then if we finish those 2, which I'm really hoping we do, I have to figure out what I'm going to read next. Like I said, I'm in my whole like gothic witchy era, so I'm probably gonna pick something along the lines of that. Not sure. I just got a ton of new books for my birthday, so I have plenty to choose from. I also have 2 new additions to the Jellycat family. We have this fun little strawberry birthday cake, because it was just my birthday, and we have this beautiful little hot dog, because fun fact about me, I love hot dogs. So we have those 2 new additions to the family, and I love them so much. You're going to see them in the corners of my videos. Right now, I'm just drinking my silly little Diet Dr. Pepper, and I'm going to continue reading Witchcraft for Wayward Girls, and I'm hoping to make a dent in this. Yesterday was obviously Monday. I would say I read about maybe 30-ish pages yesterday, so that's what we're going to count for yesterday, because we're going to do an entire week of this, like kind of like a Monday to Saturday situation. I think today I read about another 30 pages in this, so I'm hoping to get a nice little chunk of this guy done and then read a bunch of Enchantra. I normally read Enchantra at night when I'm going to bed because that's on my Kindle and I can read that with the lights off and be comfy cozy. So I will be back to update you guys when I have an update on either of these books. It might be tomorrow, might be tonight, I'm not sure. But stay tuned. Yesterday, I wound up reading a total of 120 pages of Witchcraft for Wayward Girls, and I am completely obsessed with this book. The feminine rage it's giving is honestly fueling my soul, and so I'm just gonna read like a little, kind of like read a little part, kind of like sum up a little part. She's basically talking to this coven, and this is the main character, Fern. She's talking to this coven, and this woman is obviously a witch, and she's explaining to her how in every single culture, she says, they hate us, we're loathed and despised in every time, in every country, in every culture. And then she goes on to list like all of these things that these different cultures have said about them, and at the end says, you know why they say all this? And she says, because you're witches, she asked, and the woman says, because we're women. And I am obsessed with that. And then she goes on to say that in every single culture that, you know, these women were accused of being witches and made to do these tasks. It says sometimes they force them to drink poison. The ones who die are clearly witches. The ones who only get sick are allowed to go home until the men show up at their houses hunting witches again. In Indonesia, they make little girls reach into pots of boiling water and pull out burning stones. If their hands blister, they're guilty and are killed. They throw us into rivers and ponds, and if we dare swim to save our lives, we're guilty. They hang us and burn us. They beat us to death and leave our bodies where they fall. They bury us alive and drag our families from their homes. They torture us and strangle us and hack our corpses to pieces and feed them to their dogs. And like, I just think that's so interesting, because there's always this, you know, connotation that people forget that like they burned women not because they were witches but because they were women. And I'm just obsessed. And like in this book, like the witches all like obviously carry on the line of like their mothers and their ancestors, and it's just so interesting to read about. And like the fact that this was written by a man, you would never be able to tell, because he does such a good job with like portraying feminine rage and how the patriarchy basically just like how they treat women, in all honesty. And now I'm not really understanding where the story's going. Obviously we're just getting the story of, you know, these 4 main pregnant girls that kind of like form their own coven and feel like they need to turn to witchcraft and away from like the lives of man, because all society has done is let them down and lie to them. So they're turning to like supernatural forces because they have nothing else to turn to. They're desperate. But the story is like kind of going in a certain direction, but like also not. So I'm excited to see where this is going. Right now I'm on page 260 and we're finally getting like this new perspective. So I'm pretty interested to see where the rest of this goes. I'm just completely obsessed with this. It might even be a 5-star. Honestly, depending on how it ends, it could be a 5-star, but if it goes like a weird way in the end, I might not give it a 5-star, but it's definitely in the 4-star range right now. I read a tiny bit more of Enchantress last night, and I just really like the quippiness and the banter, like I said, between Genevieve and Rowan. And games still have not begun, because like I said, I've read like 10 pages, so I'm just still getting like this build up and this setup, but I'm really liking it so far. But I'm gonna continue reading Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. I'm going to update you guys probably maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow. I'm gonna see how many pages I can get read. I think I've only read like 10 pages so far tonight. So I have my little setup on the TV. I'm probably gonna get like a nice little, I got these delicious fruit popsicles and I'm completely obsessed. I got mango and pineapple, so I think I'm gonna have maybe some of those and just snuggle in for the night. I have my blanket. It's honestly my fall blanket because I was feeling the witch vibes, and like it's fall all the time for me, honestly, even though it's spring, but it's okay. I only have about 200 pages left, so I'm more than halfway there. I honestly couldn't stop thinking about this book at work all day, and I was also just like wanting to go back to it almost as if it's a movie. So I'm definitely getting some possible 5-star feelings, but I'm completely obsessed. The vibes are literally, he's, like I said in previous times in videos, that Grady Hendrix sets a scene. Like if he says he's writing about a specific era, you feel like you're immersed in that era. So this is obviously the 70s. He's done the 80s that I've read before, and he's just so good at setting the scene. Completely obsessed with this man. Morning and happy Saturday. I have lots of plans for reading and filming and making some more content today. First, I started off with my coffee. As you can see, it is very yummy right now. I'm making a little bit of breakfast, and then my plans are to continue reading Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. I kind of want to finish that today, and then I want to finish Enchantra if I can. I only have like 250-ish pages, so I don't think that's too bad. That would get me to like 350 for today, and 2 books read for the week, which is more than I've read in like any other month so far because I've been in such a slump. And then I also want to catch up on my reading journal because I haven't done it since like, I think March was the last time I did it, so I just have to catch up on April and May. And then I also want to do my 25 for 2025, like fill that in, and then I want to kind of fix up my Notion, get caught up with that, and also maybe do some crocheting or some other fun like hobby stuff today. But my real goal is to finish these 2 books, and I'm also gonna have to edit this video later. So we have a packed Saturday. I think we might grab some dinner later, so yum. But for right now, I'm gonna go eat my breakfast and I'll talk to you guys later. Hello besties, it's been a while and I finally finished this book. I have so many thoughts on this book, so let's start first of all with what I rated it. I'm literally stuck anywhere between a 4 and a 5 stars with this one. I gave it a 4.5 for now. I started off with a 5 and then I was thinking, like, was it perfect enough? Is it worth 5 stars? I don't know, so I think I'm gonna stick with 4.5. Like I said, it can range anywhere from 4 to 5 stars right now. I don't know. Kind of go through a little recap on what this is about. So basically we have our main character. She gets pregnant at 15 and she goes to a house for wayward girls. And because everybody lies to these girls, nobody gives them a choice, all the repercussions of their choices and other people's choices come down on them. They decide to turn to witchcraft to have some semblance of control over their lives, and they form a coven together. And we have our 4 main characters, Fern, Rose, Zinnia, and Holly. And those aren't their real names, those are their names that were given to them at the home. And the lady that runs it gives them all names based off of flowers. Now, things that I think this book did really well is the fact that they, I think, portrayed pregnancy really well. Someone that's never been pregnant before, from like what I know, they did pregnancy very well. Now, coming from someone that is like is pregnant, was pregnant, is a mother, that could be thought of very differently, but I think it was done very well, especially for these teenage girls. I think that the way it talked about religion was done very well, and how, like, especially in the 1970s, they took religion and basically made you a sinner if you did anything wrong, and like they still do that to this day. So they're using religion in a negative form instead of like positive and uplifting, and how some churches are more accepting than others nowadays. They also did the time period very well with the 1970s. The vibes were there. Obviously all of the history was correct, all of the politics, all of the way they viewed women and these unwed mothers. But they also did like the language, the lingo very well. The way that like one of the girls was portrayed as like a hippie, how some people were more involved in like all of these rights movements, and also the way that the witches were done was also very 1970s, very like Stevie Nicks witchy vibe, which I was obsessed with. I also think what was done really well is the way that the patriarchy was shown in this, and how they're constantly taking down women, how women are never listened to, especially girls, and how society is based on all of these patriarchal views, and those patriarchal views are how people are just treated in general, and how those decisions and some of the hardest decisions these girls have to make are based off of those things instead of what they actually want to do. And another thing was, I think they portrayed witchcraft insanely well. It wasn't your typical, like, here's a magic wand, let me wave it, snap my fingers, I'm a witch. It was the gory, realistic, naturalistic witch vibe, where like you have to have pain and blood to get what you want. You know, your coven is your strongest thing, and so is your will. That witchcraft is not just like magic and fun. There are consequences, there are commitments you have to make. Like, if you cannot end something, bad things will happen. All of these things. And I think what it did is it showed that witchcraft is, down to its core, it came from women banding together because of the way they're treated, that they want to escape society and live by their own rules. And that is exactly what this showed, that these girls had no other choice with their fucked up problems, that they had to turn to witchcraft and unnatural things to solve their problems and get away from really perverse things that were happening to them in life. And I think that is like the perfect way to portray witchcraft and women, because it's basically just a group of women that want to change themselves, change something about their lives, or they have nothing left and society has screwed them over one too many times, that they have nothing left to live for, and they can just go do these crazy wild things that are not real to some people. Sorry, we have a visitor. You're in the camera. This is my Mabel. She's making her little debut. Oh. Yeah, you're making your debut. Making your camera debut. One of my favorite scenes in this book is when they first meet this like larger coven that has been together for a while, and they're like, oh, they've always hated us. They say all these horrible things about us, that we eat babies, we do all these things. I read the quote, I think, in a previous clip, and Fern says, oh, they hate us because we're witches, and she says, no, they hate us because we're women. And throughout history, there have been god-awful things that happen to women because they're witches, which just means they were most likely speaking out against all of the horrible things the patriarchy likes to do. I just think this did it so well. There were some things that, like, make you uncomfortable in this book, but they're, like, proper to the time, I guess. Like, the way the dad treats Fern, the way the police officers treat these pregnant girls, the way everyone treats these pregnant girls. And just some of the characters are super unlikable, but again, you have to think about the time period in which the story is being told and the fact that it's supposed to make you uncomfortable. So there were just some things I didn't love, didn't fully agree with in this book. Again, I really liked it. I just liked it for the feminine rage vibes. Now I think my plan is to both edit this video so it can possibly go up tomorrow, as well as read more of Enchantra. I didn't read any of it today because I finished this up, so I haven't talked to you since Wednesday, I think. Thursday I read 50 pages of Witchcraft for Wayward Girls, and then last night I read 40 pages of Enchantra before going to bed. Today, so far, I have read 130 pages of Witchcraft for Wayward Girls, which got me to the end. And like I said, I want to read some more of Enchantra, so I hope I'll have 1 or 2 more updates on Enchantra for you, but I am going to be working on this video, as well as possibly working a little bit more on my laptop on things like Notion and stuff, like I said before. Come back when I have an update for you guys on one of these topics, and I'll see you guys in a little bit. I just want to show you guys this book I got. It's the Woodland Sticker Emporium, and if this isn't my vibe, I don't know what is. Like, it's got the moth, the fairy, the mushrooms, all like the woodland creatures. Then inside is just a bunch of literally like the cutest, quirkiest sticker sheets. Just like all these are stickers. And then there's also like some paper in here, so I figured this would be amazing to use on my book journal, because like this is just such a vibe. And I feel like it kind of corresponds with my fairy witchy vibe going on right now. I've been very in like gothic, like natural fairy witch vibe right now, especially once it gets warmer. Like, I like to have like a spooky gothic witch girl spring, and like a little bit more than having like a cheerful bright spring. I like when like all of the nature stuff comes back into play, so I'm obsessed. Like I said, I think I'm gonna read a little bit of Enchantra right now, just because I'm in the mood for reading. I'll give you guys an update on this when I have one. Currently on page 190. I don't know if I've talked about this one that much. Like I've said in previous clips, like right now, she had to get fake married to this guy, Rowan, and they just had this masquerade ball. I really enjoyed the way they did that. And now they're on day, I think it's like technically like night 1 of the hunt, because it lasts for 12 hours and then they get 12 hours of like safe time. So right now she's being hunted, and the hunting dagger chose one of the Silver siblings, and I'm very excited to see how this goes. And like every time it chooses a new sibling on like each of the new nights, they get to choose the way they want to play the game. So like the only one we're aware of right now that the first person chose was like roaming rooms, and like the rooms change every 4 hours. You have to like find a new hiding spot every couple of hours, so I think that's super interesting. Hello besties, and happy Monday. I decided to include Sunday in this so we can get a full week's worth of reading in. Looking a little crazy right now. It is so late at night, but I wanted to wrap this up for you guys. So yesterday was Sunday and I read some more of Enchantra. I read 78 more pages, which got me to I think like 270-ish. I'm going to talk a little bit about Enchantra before I go into how many pages I read each day, like a nice little summary wrap up of this video. So Enchantra is so amazing. I was up till 2 a.m. reading it last night. I'm getting more and more obsessed with Rowan as he's interacting with Genevieve more, and as their relationship builds, I'm just becoming completely obsessed with it. And the games are interesting. It kind of feels like a little repetitive, like the same thing over and over again, just because they keep one person's hunting, the rest of them are hiding. I mean, obviously like each sibling is going to be a little bit differently how they play their games, and also a little bit differently how they hunt, like their style. But I love that each of these siblings has a familiar, and Rowan's little familiar is a fox, and she's so cute. I don't know if it's a little boy or girl fox, but they're so cute. I really like Kaylee Smith's descriptions in this one. I feel like the descriptions are a little bit more opulent, and especially the way like she describes Genevieve's clothes, and like just the serenity of some of the scenes. Like Knox, the devil that's like in charge of this hunt, he creates like these rooms where they're like called like enchanted rooms, and there's like a beautiful meadow in it, and it just like paints the scenery so well. So I think Kaylee Smith's writing has gotten even better since Phantasma, and I think I'm liking this one more than Phantasma. I'm thinking about this one a lot. I'm reading it a little faster than Phantasma, and while I'm at work I'm sitting there like getting giddy till I can go home and read this. So I'm definitely thinking about it a lot. It's definitely in, I don't think it's gonna be a 5 stars, but it's definitely in like the mid to high 4 stars. But I'll probably have my full review either in another reading vlog, or I'll have it maybe like I'll do like a monthly wrap up for May, which I'll read this in. But let's do a wrap up for the entire video. So on Monday I read 30 pages. On Tuesday I read 120 pages. Wednesday I read 50 pages. Thursday I read 50 pages. Friday was 40 pages. Saturday was 130 pages. And Sunday was 78 pages, which gives us a whopping total of 498 pages, which for me I feel like is good. I've had a hard time like focusing on reading lately, and I'm also a slow reader, so I'm working on it, but I feel like 498 pages is really good for a week, and I'm gonna try to continue and keep upping my page count hopefully every week. But that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching and spending some time with me. If you made it to the end of the video, let's leave a little skull emoji for Enchantra and our gothic witchy vibes that we had in this reading vlog. As always, happy reading and love you. Bye!